For those that watched the movie Wall-E, you'll understand my points that I make throughout this video. This world is filled with stimulation, and we, the human race, eat it up constantly. I believe that we need to be stimulated because we can't face our own life. We can't face our own thoughts. And by eating all the time, by, consuming drugs or alcohol and having or doing whatever we need to do, we're able to not have to face our thoughts, not have to face the real life. And we become very vulnerable to the real world. Because what happens if there's no food to eat? What happens if there's no drugs or alcohol to consume? If there's no sex? If there's nothing that you could partake in and you're just confronted with life, you would actually have to listen to your own thoughts. You would actually have to look up and see what you're confronted with and actually do something about it. You would have to live the real life. And most people aren't capable. Well, everybody should be capable of living a real life, but they've made themselves so weak by, overstimulating themselves in anything really that society offers them. And so mainly it would be food. Food is a very innocent way of stimulating yourself. But so many people overstimulate themselves, and now you got obese people, diabetics, and a bunch of other diseases. So that's bad straight off the bat. Drugs, alcohol. I really don't understand why alcohol is so openly accepted. I don't think in itself is bad. I just think the behaviors and the way society consumes is terrible. And we're so open to it that we don't, how is it that, parents are okay with their kids getting drunk and puking? As long as you don't drive, it doesn't matter how much you drink. But it's a terrible drug if you consume it incorrectly. Sex also, nowadays sex is just so artificial and people never reach the two other realms that efficiently, Sex has three realms, it would be physical, which obviously is the easiest one to get, and that's what people, go for nowadays, just the sexual, physical pleasure, which is easy to reach. But the other two levels would be psychological and then spiritual. And you have to do them correctly. Spiritual, most relationships nowadays will never reach it. Psychological, people do reach it, but they reach it incorrectly. Psychological should benefit both partners. But I think there's more psychological damage that occurs in all these sexual relationships. Again, anyways, just sex is just another dopamine hit that people get, Tinder, whatnot, going to college parties and going out just to hook up with someone, just to feel something. Because again, you can't face your own thoughts and you can't face the real world. There's obviously a bunch of other stuff that you have, Netflix, obviously scrolling, TikTok, Instagram, all this stuff that people use to stimulate themselves and just forget about stuff. But why is it that we need this stuff? Why do we need these dopamine hits, especially, artificial ones, and constantly? Well, the reason why is because, yes, like I said, we're weak. And we're scared of what life really has to offer. We're scared to go out into the real world and do something. And we can't be relaxed, that's the problem. The moment, you take away all this stimulation from someone, they start getting anxious. Anxiety. Why are you anxious? They start getting stressed. Why are you stressed? Again, like I mentioned, these people can't live the real world because they're just so used to the stimulation that once you take it away from them, they don't know what to do. Which is a huge problem, all these kids with, mental problems growing up. And again, people taking antidepressants, people taking stimulants, people taking suppressants, all types of pills because they're struggling to live the real life, which is a problem in itself. How is it that we've advanced so much, yet now we're so incapable of living correctly, of living sustainably with one another and the planet? It's funny, this is saying, I don't know where it comes from, but everybody knows it. Like, hard times create strong men create good times, then good times create weak men, and then, weak men create hard times. And I think we're in that. We have had it so easy that now we've just created weak people, and now these weak people are creating hard times. These people are really struggling to live. Why is suicide so high? Like, why are all these mental illnesses increasing? What's going on in this world? I think people need to start opening up. I think, if someone's close to me, I would love for them to open up. Living in such an artificial world in social media, everybody wants to show their perfect image, and forbid, like, to never show their real self, their vulnerable self. Never show the bad moments in life, because you know what? So much pressure, so much societal pressure that's not good for you. You can't show your bad side. You can only show your perfect side, and this creates a fake image. It creates a second personality about yourself, and dehumanizes your real life, because you don't know what your real life is anymore. You put more focus on your social media life that your real life, you never really give it attention. You never take care of your body. You never take care of your mental health, your spiritual health. And that's where we should be going, take it back a little bit, see where we're struggling, and obviously work as a team. Like I said, we should be vulnerable, and we should be okay with it. There's no problem. You have to be humble and say, hey brother, hey sister, hey friend, hey mother, I'm not feeling good. I'm going through this in my life, and I I need help. And this help doesn't mean, drugs, oh no. It just means a hug, man. It just means, spreading love and sharing it and feeling it. Real dopamine, going outside and seeing the sunset, going outside and seeing some birds, roam around and being one with nature. That's what you need. That's what people need, man. Not artificial scrolling, not fake sex, not all these drugs and alcohol, not looking at, Netflix all day. You need to go and live the real life. That's real medicine. That's medicine that's going to heal you, man. Because all these antidepressants, all this other stuff, man, it's only going to make it worse. And I don't want that for you, man. So yeah, bro, we need to start healing ourselves, as a community together. Start talking to each other and be like, hey, look, when you're not feeling good, just talk it out. And people hear you out, and and that's important. When you feel the love, when you feel that abundance, you'll be able to spread it more. And that's what we need to be doing. But, again, switching all these dopamine hits, these artificial ones, for real stuff, like yoga, going out for a nice walk, playing cards with your family or friends, being there, being really present with the people in front of you, and putting away the phone, turning off the TV, and connecting, creating meaningful relationships. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. Obviously, food, how I was talking about food being such a dopamine hit. That's all that artificial food. If you switch it for real, whole foods, it's going to take care of your body, because that's medicine as well. And obviously, you're not going to be as addicted to it, and so you're not going to be eating all the time. You're not going to have all these illnesses. But, there's just so much that you could do, kayaking, sports, whatever you want to do. Just take care of your body, man, and take care of this world, bro. Most important part, mental health, spiritual health, and obviously the community. Again, things to think about, because we need to start taking care of ourselves in this planet. That's all, man. Peace.